The death of a loved one or close friend is never going to be easy, but there is one thing about it that doesn't have to be so hard: getting access to the assets of the person who has passed on. Illinois, like other states, has developed a process that allows for certain property that once belonged to people who have died to pass on to those who it's intended for. We're eForms, the largest online database of fillable legal forms. In this video, we'll address Illinois' small estate affidavits, including the basics of small estate affidavits, how to tell if an estate is eligible under Illinois rules, and if the estate is eligible, how to file it. Be sure to watch through to the end of this video to find a link for an approved Illinois small estate affidavit that you can use for your particular situation. First, what are small estate affidavits? Small estate affidavits are legal documents that allow some property to escape probate. Probate is the formal legal process of distributing the assets of someone who has died, who is called the decedent. Why would you want to avoid probate? Because it can be slow and complicated. The assets of a person who has died are known as an estate, and with some estates, it's not obvious who should get what. This is more common though with big estates that include lots of land or complex business interests. Smaller estates, however, tend to be much more easier to distribute. A small estate affidavit is effectively a declaration that the holder, who is called the affiant, is entitled to certain assets that once belonged to the decedent. It allows the affiant to legally collect the property. Which estates are eligible for the small estate affidavit process? Illinois state law limits small estate affidavits to estates worth less than $100,000. Unlike some estates, land is eligible to pass through the small estate process. Illinois also allows estates to pass through the process even if they had certain kinds of debt. In general, debts to the government may be paid off after the contents of a small estate have been distributed, while debts with private parties must be settled before beginning the process. The big exception is for debts that were incurred at the end of the decedent's life, like funeral costs or hospital bills. If the estate is eligible, what is the process? You should begin by making a list of the decedent's possessions. If the estate includes vehicles, be sure to get the vehicle identification number or VIN from each one. The next thing to consider is whether the decedent had a will. If the decedent did have a will, it should be filed with the court clerk in the county where the decedent was living, and you should keep copies. If the estate is splitting among multiple parties, each party should prepare a separate small estate affidavit. Estates can be eligible whether or not the person who died had a will. If the decedent did not have a will, you'll need to identify all of the people who are eligible to inherit from the estate under Illinois estate succession laws, which are the rules for who is entitled to assets when someone dies without a will. Once you have this information, you can fill out your small estate affidavit. In order for the affidavit to be valid, you should sign it in the presence of a notary. Finally, once the affidavit is signed and notarized, it becomes a legal document that obligates people to turn over property to you. If someone else has property of the decedent's that you think belongs to you but refuses to turn it over, do not try to take the property by force. Instead, you can contact the authorities. You may have to prepare a separate court filing to collect it. Click here to find an official Illinois small estate affidavit form, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to find other eForms estate law videos.